Hi friends, how you doing? Short video for you on an exercise called silk reeling exercise, or Chan Su Gong in Chinese. And this is a basic exercise from the Chen style of Tai Chi, but it's also a really good one for loosening up the shoulders and loosening up the hip joints. And what we're aiming to do with this exercise, again, is always to relax. But what we're trying to do is just get the rotation in the hips, the shoulders and the hips. The top of the leg bones sit in the hips like this. This is the hip joint and this is the top of the leg bones. And what we want to do is just in this exercise to rotate the top of the leg bone in the joint. What we don't want to do is for the hip and the leg to do this. Same with the shoulder. You want the top of the arm bone to sit in the shoulder socket and do this. You don't want to do this. So what we want to do is try to avoid swinging and swaying. We just want to move the joints and loosen up the joints. Now, word of warning here, if you do have arthritic problems with the shoulders or the hip joints, you're going to take it nice and easy, do small movements. You'll know better than me what you can and can't do. If you find that it's just too sore or too painful, then you might just need to stop and maybe keep the hips still when you're doing the exercise, or just do a lower arm movement in the arm exercise. But what you want to do if you do have arthritis in the shoulders and the hips, you do want to try and keep the movement, even if it's just a small gentle movement in the joint to help with circulation. In Chinese medicine, they believe that circulation is the key thing for healing. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our posture. It's the bow stance, and what we're going to do is use the narrow bow stance that we use in grasping the sparrow's tail. So again, what we're going to do is first of all just practice the posture. Just step out in the bow stance. We're going to do a right bow stance, so the right foot is out. Most of the weight, 60% of the weight is on the right foot, 30% is on the left foot. We're bending the knees, tucking the pelvis forward and just sinking into the pelvis. So again, I'll rotate here to give you a different view. You want the bow stance to be nice and narrow, not the bow stance we do in Parting the Wild Horse's Mane and Rushdie Twist Step. It's the bow stance we use in Grasping the Sparrow's Tail. The first thing we're going to practice is just the hip movement. Okay, forget the arms first of all. And what we're going to do first of all is start off with that left hip forward or to our right. We're going to concentrate first of all on the right foot. We're going to press down on that right foot. We're going to stretch that right hip. That opens the waist. Okay, then we bring our attention back to the left foot, the back foot. We press down into that left foot and we turn that left hip forward, or to the right I should say, so the left hip turns back to the right. So we press down on the right foot, stretch and open that right hip joint, then press down on the left foot, stretch and turn that left hip joint to the right, opening to the right, that right hip joint, and then pushing back on the left foot and turning that left hip to the right. Okay, so you've got to get that movement first of all. That's most important. First of all, stretch that right hip, then push off that left foot, and bring that left hip so it points to the right. Okay, do that a couple of times just as a practice and get the waist and the hips loosened up. And then we're going to swap over. Okay, do the left bow stance. Again, it's a narrow bow stance. Majority of the weight on the left foot, 60% of the weight on the left foot, 40% on the right foot. Again, we're bending the knees, tucking the pelvis forward, sitting into the pelvis. And what we're going to do now is just alternate. You press down on the left foot, stretch and open that left hip joint. Then we press down on the right foot, turn that right hip to the left. Again, try not to let the knees collapse inwards. Again, stretch that left hip joint, opening the waist. Again, push down on the right foot, turn the right hip to the left. Okay, and just try and Get a smooth movement. So at this point, you're not shifting the weight. You're not doing this. Okay, all you're doing at the moment is getting used to the movement in the hip joints. Okay, this is sometimes called the Tai Chi figure of 8. Again, you can bring the hands into the hips here and just get a feel for the movement on the hips. It's very, very important not to let the knees do that. Don't let the knees collapse inwards. Okay, once you've done that for a couple of repetitions, just loosen off the hips. Just a kick to one side, kick to the other side, kick and loosen off, kick and loosen off. Okay, now we're going to bring in the shifting of the weight. Okay, so we go back to the right bow stance. Again, assume the position, forget about the arms at the moment. Again, press down on the right foot, open the right hip, now bring the weight back. Press down on the left foot, turn that left hip to the right so you're pushing off that rear foot, bring the weight back. Push down on the right foot, opening the waist, bring the weight back. Push down on the left foot, turn that left hip to the right, bring the weight back to the right. So we're adding in a shifting of the weight now. So we started off by just engaging the hip joints, but now we're engaging the hip joints and shifting the weight from one leg to the other. And so do that a couple of times, again, making sure the knees don't collapse inwards, making sure the knees don't do that. Always keep that alignment of the hip joint, knee joint, and the ankle joint. So do one side first of all, just to get loosened up, then swap over and do the other side. Again, push down on the left foot, stretch that left hip joint, open the waist, bring the weight back. Okay, turn that right hip to the left, push off that right foot, bring the weight back to the left foot. Opening the waist, bring the weight back, push off the rear foot, bring the weight back to the left foot. Again, this is not an easy movement to do actually, this is quite a tricky one to learn, but it's a good one for the hips, it really strengthens the hips actually. And also, as we're going to see in a second, it's good for the shoulders as well. Okay, so do that a few times just to get loosened up, just to get a feel for the movement. Again, once you've done a few of those, loosen off. Do a couple of shuffle kicks, just to loosen off. Okay, now we're going to bring in the arms. Important thing with this movement is, again, what we want to do is have the arm top of the arm bone move within the joint, not have everything swinging about. So we're not swinging the shoulders about. We're not swaying the upper body. What we want to do is keep the back still. The movement is in the shoulders, elbows, wrists, and the fingers. Okay, so we start off in a right bow stance, turning to the right. Again, bend the knees, pelvis forward, sink into the posture. Left hand on the left hip joint. The right hand is out. Again, relax the hands to the fingers. Settle the wrist so the fingers are pointing upwards. Relax and sink the shoulders. The elbow is in, not forced in like it's unnatural, uncomfortable. Just settle the elbow as you settle the shoulders, settle the wrist. So to put it this way, to change the angle, it should look like this, not like that, okay, or like that. It should look like this, okay. And the first finger is about level with the nose. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to do is called inward twining. Inward twining. So what we do again, coordinate the waist with the shoulders, and the waist moves the shoulders. Waist, the quad moves first, the shoulders follow. Shoulders follow the waist, always. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to bring that right elbow into the side of the body. We do that first, then press down on the right foot, stretch that right hip joint. As we bring the weight back, we release the arm, it swings down, comes up in front of the chest, push off now that rear foot. Bring that left hip to the right as we stretch. Right hand goes out and we settle the wrist. Okay, so the right elbow comes in first. Then we press down on the right foot, opening the right hip joint. Bring the weight back, arm swings down, in front of the chest, push off the rear foot. Okay, so first of all, you're trying to get a feel for the movement. Once you get a feel for the movement, once you've done a few repetitions, you can hopefully relax into this. And once you can relax into this, then you can concentrate on the breathing. So you can breathe in as the elbow comes in, and breathe out as the hand goes out. Elbow in, hand out. Elbow in, hand out. Inward twining. And when you get relaxed with it, you start to get a feel for the dantian. This is an important exercise for the dantian as well. So once you've done a few repetitions, swap over, do the other side. When I say a few, it's what you're comfortable with. But I would suggest don't do more than 9. 9 repetitions is a good number of repetitions. But again, you'll know better than me what you can and can't do. Only do what you feel is comfortable. You want to be relaxed with this one. Okay, so we'll do the other side again. Bending the knees, top the pelvis forward, right hand resting on the right hip. Left hand is out, finger to the nose level. Settle the wrist, settle the elbow, relax the shoulders. Okay, so the elbow comes in first. Then press down on the left foot, stretch that left hip, open the waist. Bring the weight back, arm comes up in front of the chest. Push off that rear foot, bring that right hip to the left, settle the wrist, elbow in, and hand, elbow in, and hand. Once you get used to this, get relaxed, you can breathe in as your elbow comes in and breathe out as the hand goes out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, so that's inward twining. Okay, now we're going to do outward twining. We'll do this one. What we're going to do again is the same. Bow stance to the right, left hand on the hip joint, and what we're going to do is just have the right hand out, and we're going to have the palm facing towards us. Okay, so what we're going to do, just bring the elbow in towards the center of the chest. Okay, so elbow comes in towards the center of the chest, then press down on the right foot, stretch that hip joint. Okay, then bring the weight back, hand goes down, push off the rear foot, arm goes out, hand and arm go out, and it comes up to about chest level, forearm comes up to about chest level. Then we drop the elbow, palm towards us, bring the right elbow in towards the center of the chest, then press down, stretch that right hip joint, bring the weight back, hand goes down, and then out. That left hip turns to the right, pushing off that left foot. Turn the palm towards you, look at the palm. Right elbow comes in, then we push down on the right foot, opening the waist. Okay, bring the weight back, push down, and out. So this is outward twining. Outward twining. And again, ideally what you want to try and do once you get a feel for the movement, to try and get a nice smooth flow in the exercise. Again, after you've done a few repetitions on one side, swap over and do the other side. Again, start off elbow down, looking at the palm, center of the palm. Again, bring the elbow in towards the center of the chest first of all, Then press down on the left foot, stretch the hip joint, bring the weight back, push down off the right foot, turn that right hip to the left, and that left forearm goes out, drop the elbow, look at the palm, elbow comes in towards the center of the chest, press down the left foot, bring the weight back, hand goes down, and outward, winding. This is a very, very, very old exercise. It goes back hundreds of years. Again, trying to relax the shoulders, not swinging the back around, keeping the back still. Movements in the shoulder joint, elbows, wrists and fingers. Okay, see how you get on with those. Things to watch out for, problems to watch out for. Again, if it becomes very sore in the hips, stop, relax, take it nice and easy. If you find if you have arthritis in the hips, it's too painful, you can do this sitting down. You can do the exercises sitting down, okay? And that works the shoulders. Again with the shoulders, if it's too painful in the shoulders, again small circles, small movements, small circles. Again, it all helps if you're nice and relaxed. Again, trying not to tense up. Also as well, it's the rule with silk reeling, Chan Su Gong, silk reeling exercise is elbow in, hand out, okay? Elbow in, hand out. That's the rule. Elbow in, hand out. Some people find this quite difficult and they bring the hand in first and then goes out. Hand in first, but what you do then is the elbow tends to float up. You've got to bring the elbow in first, then the hand goes out. Elbow in first, and then the hand goes out. Again, things to watch out for, the errors. Again, not just going backwards and forwards. Not just going backwards and forwards like this. You have to engage the hip joints. And that creates like a figure of 8 movement in the waist, or the kwa, as the Chinese call it. Figure of 8. That's ideally what you want to aim for. But again, if you find it difficult in the hips, take it easy. You don't have to do a deep stance, okay? High up is perfectly okay. High stance is perfectly okay. Okay, best of luck.